Hey, welcome back. This week's video here in the workshop is going to be a little bit different video. This is going to be an unboxing and a setup and a demonstration of my new ultrasonic cleaner. I bought this direct from the manufacturer, Vevor, I think is how you say it. Didn't buy it off Amazon because I couldn't find what I was looking for on Amazon. I did some research this time before I just went out and bought one. The first thing I noticed is the packaging. Failed a little bit. I was not here when they dropped this off, but I did look and feel in here. I don't feel any dents. I think it's okay. I hope so. Not a sponsored video or anything like that, but this thing was very affordable, especially for what I got. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it, and I'll bring you in closer as we get. Okay, so why did I get a new ultrasonic cleaner? Well, my other one just stopped working one day, and I did not realize how much I needed and used this thing in my shop when I didn't have it. So the other one, it just wouldn't power on. I changed the cord out. I had a similar cord here. That didn't work. I bought a new switch. Of course, checked the fuse in the switch first. The fuse was fine. Bought a new switch, put it in. It worked. Did some testing, and something failed on one of the boards inside the machine. It was out of warranty, and it's a little above my skill level to be replacing capacitors and things like that. So I decided just to get a new one. This one's very similar to my old one. The other one was made by a company called Creeworks. And again, this is Vevor. Like I said earlier, I did not buy this off Amazon because as I was doing my research, just trying to figure out which one of these was the best value, I noticed that this company makes one that is dual hertz. So it's got a 28, it's either 28 hertz or 28 kilohertz, I can't remember, which is kind of a low power setting, which supposedly will do a better job on bigger, greasier things, you know, getting inside of sockets and the heads of ratchets and things like that. And then it's got a 40 hertz setting that is better for fine things. They say for jewelry and things like that, but I could imagine using that on nuts and bolts and small items. So let's get this thing unpackaged and see what all's in here. So we have the lid. Got some Teflon tape, probably for the drain instructions. Got a drain hose, which I won't use, and the power cord. And it did come with one small little jewelry basket, which I've got a couple of these bigger. I don't know that I would ever use this. We've got a basket. It's pretty flimsy. Not overly impressed with that. All right, this is the basket out of my old unit. This is the basket out of the new one. And this one is a lot more sturdy than this one. And it fits in there, so I may use it. I don't think it got damaged in the shipping. Maybe that's just where the driver, when he grabbed it out of his truck or something, that cheap cardboard tears pretty easy. I don't have it plugged in yet, and I will show you this a little later too, but over here, this is your temperature control. And this one heats up, I think, about 20 degrees hotter. I think this will go to 80 degrees Celsius. We'll test it. Where my other one would only go, I think, to 60. It's got a degas feature, which, if I read correctly, that helps preserve the ultrasonic units underneath. So that's a good feature. And then we've got what they call full wave and semi-wave, which I guess full wave is the 40 kilohertz and the 28 is the lower setting to get deeper into the big grease stuff. And then we've got our timer unit here. So let me get this moved over to where I keep this in my shop, and I'll bring you right back. This is a push to connect connection, so all I have to do is push my pipe in there. All right, now I'll get it moved over. Okay, we are over in what I call my paint or finishing room. I've got my big sink in here, and I've got this metal or wire shelving over here, and right here is where the ultrasonic cleaner goes. First thing I'm gonna do before I turn it on is I'm put a little water in it, test my drain line. Yep, no leaks and it's draining good. It's really handy having that drain line piped in. It makes it real easy to clean it out. All right, that's about 5.5 gallons. This is a 30-liter unit, which I think is closer to maybe 7.5 gallons, somewhere in there. But by the time I put big bags in there, and I'll show you that in a second, this is plenty of water. Got plenty of water in there. I'm gonna turn the power on. It's set to heat to 78 degrees, which is, like I said, that's already hotter than what my other unit would do. The actual is 25, and I'm gonna turn the heating elements on. One thing I didn't like about the CreWorks unit was I'd let it warm up for half an hour and then run through 2 20-minute cycles, and it still wouldn't get much hotter than about 30-some degrees. So I'm anxious to see how long this one takes to heat up. So I'm gonna let it sit for, we'll give it 15 minutes and see if we come up off 25. All right, while I'm waiting on the unit to heat up, I will go ahead and prepare my first batch. So I've got a set of 4 casters and nuts and bolts. I'm just gonna leave them all in this one bag. I like to use these bags because you can use a whole lot less cleaning fluid and you don't mess up the water in the tank, so you can keep running batches throughout the day, tomorrow, the next day. Eventually some will leak out and get in there and I'll have to change it, but this saves a lot of time and money. So I'll just put about 6 ounces of degreaser in there. These are a set of casters off another project I'm working on. So be sure and come back in a few weeks and watch that. I'm not sure when I'll get it done. All right, that is ready to go in. You know, I probably should have showed you one of these before I put it in. So these are not terribly dirty, but they're dirty enough. For you guys that have ultrasonic cleaners and are not doing this bag trick, I think I first saw this on Dale's Workshop channel. But I highly recommend getting these heavy duty bags. I got these off Amazon. You take a lot less chance of it cutting the bag. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. You can see we only came up to 34, 33 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure how hot that is in Fahrenheit. I know that like 60 degrees is about 140. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit because I'll never be patient enough to let it get all the way up to 78 degrees. So I'm going to set my timer to 15 minutes. And I'm going to give it the semi-wave, which is the lighter setting. And I'll just get the product put in. Actually put it in first. All right, the timer went off. Actually, it did an audible alarm. Got up to 44 degrees. Let's see what this stuff looks like. So my water inside here is really clean, which means the bag didn't have any holes in it, which is good. I'll use the basket to get it out because that's a little warm. All right, I'm going to pull one out and see what it looks like. Oh, that came really clean. Still got a lot of grease and stuff up in here. I don't know if you can see that. So it's very loose. If I rinse that off, it'll probably come right off, but I'm going to let these things go a little bit longer. All right, let's go for another 15 minutes. All right, another 15 minutes has gone by and we got up to 54 degrees, which according to Siri is about 127 degrees. So water's going to be a good bit hotter. So I'm going to go ahead and turn everything off from here for now. Boy, that water is really dirty. I hope I've got the camera focused on that. These came pretty clean. I'm happy with that. These will clean up nice. And the casters, I mean, there's like no grease or dirt left on these anywhere. Yes, of course they're rusty. They still need a lot more work, but they are clean. Now I'm not going to do any additional work to these casters on this video. Again, as part of another project. So I'll blow these off with my air gun and just coat them down with some WD-40 so they don't rust anymore. So the ultrasonic cleaner came through real good on these. I'm gonna coat these with some WD-40 until I get time to fully clean them up, because I don't want them to rust anymore, especially the ball bearing area. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do another test. So this is a vintage Blackhawk socket set. My buddy Petey, 918 Petey Pablo, gave this to me a couple years ago, and you can see a lot of the sockets are really greasy down in there. The outside looks okay on a lot of them, but some of them are really dirty. So I'm going to put these in there and just see what it does. Again, about 6 ounces of Zep industrial cleaner, the purple stuff. All right, you can see how clear that liquid is. Let's get it in there. I'm going to run this for about 25 minutes. All right, let the 25-minute cycle run. You can see the temperature's at 63. I actually turned this thing off about an hour and a half ago. I had an errand to run. So yeah, let me show you what it looks like inside. So you can see the water's clear, so the bag deal works very well. This one's hot. All right, look how brown that water is. So we definitely got a lot of grease off of these things. Wow, look at that. Too hot to handle. Let me cool them down. All right, these came really, really clean. I did not expect them to have the finish on them they do. And these sockets right here are definitely pre-World War II, so they're got quite a bit of age on them, but look at the inside of that. Wish the light was a little better in here. All right, just to review again, man, super stoked on the job that it did on these sockets. It did a good job on the casters as well. Got all the grease and dirt out of there for sure. These are just a little more rusty. But I think the big difference too was on the sockets, I did use I did wait until it heated up a little bit more. So it got up into the 60 degrees something Celsius, which I think made a huge difference. So these need very little work now. I'm gonna finish cleaning up some of the knurling. These will get blued and put back in my case. Not doing a video on these. Okay, what were my impressions of the VEVOR ultrasonic cleaner? Pretty good. The packaging was a little iffy. You know, when I first saw it, it was torn open. I was thankful nothing was torn up in there. I think it's a really good unit. Again, this is not a sponsored video by any means. I paid for this unit with my own money. But I tell you, it's better than the one I had before, which was made by Creeworks that I got off Amazon. This one I bought direct from VEVOR on their website. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it was $199. I'm going to put something up here to show you. But I also bought the extended warranty for 3 years for an extra 30 bucks. I thought $10 a year, extended warranty, no brainer. Anyway, cool unit. It works better than the other one I had. I think mainly because I can get the temperature a lot hotter. I can actually run it for longer periods of time. So I can run 2 cycles without a rest period in between. And the dual frequency, I think, made a big difference. I was shocked how much grease came out of these sockets. It did a phenomenal job on these. Now, I ran these through after I ran these through, so the temperature was up quite a bit on the water. But I'm happy with the result on this too. It got all the dirt, grease, and grime off. I just got some rust on there, so they still don't look good, but I'll get those cleaned up. So if you're interested in ultrasonic cleaner, I would definitely recommend this brand over the Creeworks. If this one fails, I'll buy another one of these in a heartbeat, but hopefully it will last longer. Well, thanks for hanging around to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one.